Great. Are we good to go? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Bellows Falls Village Trustees regular meeting. It's Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020. As we close out the year at 6:04 p.m. now. Our location is down here in the lower theater of the town hall. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to move on to approving the minutes of December 8th, 2020. I need a motion for that.
I'll move approval.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Sure. Yeah, put it on.
I gotta find them. So I don't know how big a deal this is, but I was reading them, and the discussion under the agenda from the minutes for development director employment, it mentions that towards the end of it that his position is clearly a town function, and that basically that the trustees feel the town should pick up the entire cost. So I remember us discussing that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was, I know that's not what I said.
There was discussion back and forth. We also asked for data,
Yep.
points, performance, grants, what's won, what's not. Those kinds of things were actually in that conversation as well.
Right.
So.
Sorry, guys, you got muted. Could you unmute?
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, so there was further discussion. I'm not sure if it's something that the minute that Kathleen would be interested in amending with a little more information about what we said, because we didn't all say we didn't want to do that. We didn't make a motion.
Right. I know that, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Jeff, but I know he basically said the same thing I did.
No, you did.
Well, that we didn't.
Yeah. No, we didn't. We didn't definitely say that. We wanted more information before we went forward. Right.
I don't know how technical it is. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. And there was one other thing, and that was a completed sentence. If you look at the last page, you'll notice. I think they're going to be amended with the last. Okay. But so it's probably been posted correctly, but the data we received in our packet didn't have it in there. So thank you, Kathleen. Right. Well, thank you. Okay. So that has been corrected. And the meeting is recorded, so your contention with that section will.
Yeah, that's fine.
Makes sense too.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on the minutes? Right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. Minutes are approved. Moving on to the next. Any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting? I'm hearing nothing. We will have a short executive session from which no action will be taken at the end of the meeting. Next, public comment on items. Anyone out there? I see no one. Shannon, do you see anybody?
No.
Okay. That was weird. I don't see anybody speaking though. Okay. All right, then. Thank you, Shannon. All right, moving on to the manager's report.
I'm sure you've all witnessed that we've been working through a variety of issues with the recent snowstorm. So we'll highlight a couple things that I think are items for general, just public discussion, and I think some things that we'll be coming back to talk about at a future meeting. We've had a couple of items I think that were substandard. I think one of the concerns we've had is the operation of the sidewalk plows. They were not running consistently. They had multiple breakdowns. I lost, hours of productivity. And it's a little bit of a concern seeing as how they're recently purchased. They should be at the point where we're not having any kinds of concerns or problems with these machines. So We're going to go back through the contract. We're going to go back and try to figure out if there's something that might be a manufacturer issue or some other issue that might be impacting why these things are not operating at 100% during these storm events. Certainly, with the amount of money and the commitment that trustees made for that, it's not operating anywhere near where we want it to be. So that's something that we'll be coming back to you at a future meeting with a follow-up report. Had some issues with some of our plow trucks, as we had talked about at previous meetings, and we've had a little bit of discussion about equipment and capital. It's hard to tell exactly at this point if it was just simply an issue of so much snow. We had a couple issues with wings on plows and a couple issues with chains that were broken on some of the plows itself for spreaders. So we're going to try to come back to you with some information about that as well. Again, we're at a point where we shouldn't be having those things, in the beginning of a season. If we were in March and we were at storm 10 and we had, 150 inches of snow, I'd say, okay, we're having some breakdowns. So that's something that we'll have to get back to you about. We're still hauling snow. I'm sure you've probably, if you've been in the village at any point over the last few nights, you've probably heard the trucks and the equipment. We're going to continue hauling this evening as well. We're a little concerned that we might actually be filling up the high school dump. I don't know if anybody's been by to take a look at the lot, but it's quite a pile that's been pulled out. We're going to work on Atkinson Street tonight, so my guess is that pile will grow. We'll probably start looking at putting snow behind the recycling center just because we're going to run out of space from where we're pushing the snow. The goal is we're hopeful to get everything at least clear to the point where if we do get forecasted rain and, we'll see how the rain proceeds and the snow melt. A little concerned about, Thursday and Friday, just in terms of how that might go. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're going to close at noon on Thursday. What I want to do is send some of my crews home to get some rest. I'm a little concerned about the hours they've been working. A lot of these guys are working substantial hours. And if we do have an event on the holiday, I really want to make sure that they've had some ability to spend some time with the family, get a little bit of rest, and hopefully if we have to call them in, not be zombies working on, Christmas and after if we really run into significant problems. So overall, I'd say the response has been, I appreciate the effort of the staff. I don't want in any way, shape, or form to sound like I'm critical of their performance. I think they've done outstanding work, and I appreciate the effort. I think some of our concerns are more about where we are with our equipment and where we are with some of our operating procedures, and those are the things that I'll come back and talk to you about in more detail at a future meeting. I'm sure you've heard all, various people have been, commenting about problems in specific locations. So certainly if you've got specific questions or problems, we'd be more than happy to try to address those as well.
Anything else?
No, that's basically it for now.
And were there comments from the board concerning
Sure.
what was brought up?
As reference to those sidewalk plows, I thought they were a poor investment when we, not knocking anybody, but they're about $100 some odd thousand. I think 125 or 110. I think it's South Burlington now selling like 5 of them. So I don't know, maybe it's on their rotation schedule. They can afford to get 5 new ones. I don't know, but I think a better investment would be something along the lines of a Kubota tractor, 25 or 30 horse with a blower. I mean, it has a variety of other options you can use year round. I'm sure this item does too, because they come with brooms and whatever, but they don't cost nowhere near as much as that. I think like a BX24, somewhere around, 30, 35,000 with some accessories. And I went out this weekend. There was 2 communities that I saw that I drove through that were using a small 4-wheel drive tractor like that. And I just think, when I look at the purchase price of that tractor and the purchase price of one of those sidewalk plows, I think, I can buy probably 4 or 5 of these tractors with attachments compared to this one sidewalk plow. And that tractor's probably a hell of a lot more reliable.
Yeah, I'm not real happy
Yeah.
with the
No, I understand
performance, and certainly that's something
Sure.
that, we're going to be aggressive about trying to get rectified. And if we have to go and make a recommendation, we'll make sure that we're going to take all that into
Yep.
consideration. I'm not happy at all.
And one other item, Madam President, I noticed some Facebook chatter in reference to the Skeeto. I guess there was a bump in the road up there with the rope and maybe a couple other items. So I'm just wondering, do we have spare belts for that? I know it's more of a town function, but this is the first great snowfall in 30 years that I can recall. So you want to utilize that. You got a lot of people who'd like to go up there and recreate. So my thoughts are, do we
Yeah.
have spare belts? Do we, I know the rope was
I've
brand
been
new.
working with Ryan on a couple of things.
Yeah.
I was trying to follow up with him. In fact, this afternoon, we were talking about, I was hoping that he would had some operating manuals or some SOPs or some
Yeah.
other things just for operating the equipment.
Yeah.
We don't have anything right now that's written down and standardized. So that's something I told him that I needed for him to do. And that would also include, the preseason maintenance, the postseason maintenance, when we're operating the machinery, how it should be operated appropriately, as well as some of the issues we've had with the ropes and
Yeah.
the clearances and the trees, and just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So he's working on that. I know there's a couple other people that have a longer term perspectives on how that equipment was put into place, and we're reaching out to them to give us some assistance as well. So my expectation is we'll put something together and make sure that this thing is more operational, so we don't have a repeat of that, because I was not happy about that either.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. I know I've had lots of complaints from citizens, but we've had problems every year trying to get around, especially the capped off streets, side streets, extensions, and that sort of thing. But in the past, they've gone sometimes weeks without getting plowed. And especially if the weather turns cold, which it doesn't appear it's going to do at this point in this storm, but then they get blocked in because they can't get through the ice. So hopefully things get worked out so they can get plowed out, and you're continuing to work on it. I was hearing that they sidewalk plows about 12:30 last night, so I can hear them down the street. Okay, then we move on to the next item, which would be on the agenda, which is the police update.
Yeah, I was going to ask if Dave could maybe go to that other location with the microphone. He's
thanks,
just got
yeah.
a brief update on some items, and then I think we wanted to come back and just follow up with some trustee comments. So I'll go ahead and let Dave sort of lead off. And
Just
and then
before he
we'll-
starts, I just want to say, remember, your microphone needs to be in front of your face. If your mouth isn't here, it's not going to pick it up. So when you turn to look at us,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, make sure that you can. The
Yeah,
audience
it's awkward with a mask, but it's even more.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
even more with, trying to capture these microphones. So
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Good evening. Well, a few things that we have. The Community Action Team, we are working on planning a community meeting. And when we came about the concept of it, it was hoped to have a monthly meeting. But because of COVID and restrictions, we haven't had one. We are planning to do something in the first part of January, whether that's a Zoom meeting, whether it's something with Fact TV. But we do plan to have that. We have not got a date for that, but we are going to do that. A community meeting where people can talk to us and express their concerns for us. We have the Community Action Team there. They have been working on a narcotics investigation and have seized some drugs and some money that we have put in for forfeiture, and those investigations are still ongoing. But each investigation, it does constitute a lot of time and a lot of officer, not just one officer, but multiple officers. It can be time consuming, at least, just to let you know that. The sixth officer, we don't have anything to report on any candidates at this point. We are reaching out to some criminal justice programs at some colleges to try to recruit from there. We would normally probably have to send them to the academy, but some programs in the past have sent students through the academy and then been hired. I know of at least one that was happened with in Bellows Falls. The Axon camera systems are at the PD. Axon has given us a end of January timetable when they will probably be able to be here to install the cameras. Also working with Dominion Tech to get the technical issues with our server and the camera system worked out. So once Axon is able to be here to install the cameras, that we will be able to, they will be online instantly, hopefully. The Operation Elves community was really very generous with us. They gave us pajamas. They gave us some money. We've given out roughly over 200 sets of pajamas, blankets to children. And also we teamed up with the Opera House and we handed out movie passes. So when the Opera House is able to be opened again, hopefully the kids and their parents will be able to come to the movies for that. We have, and I want to thank everybody in the community for donating and for helping, and it was remarkable the amount of stuff that we received. We've applied for a few grants that we're still waiting on to know the information on them. We have applied for a grant for new computers for the cruisers, which will then be integrated in with the new camera systems, and hopefully be able to have that through the grant system, paid for through the grant system. The use of force policy that we are will be updated, which will be a statewide use of force policy. That's being worked on, and it's not complete yet. It will be here sooner rather than later, but sooner means maybe a couple, 3 months from now before it's agreed upon and it's gone through the legislature and gone through the process. And that is also with the camera policy and body worn cameras and the cruiser cameras. That will be one statewide policy that we'll certainly share with you once we get it and once everybody has had their comments on it and it's agreed to as to what the policy will be.
Anything else?
Any questions?
Members?
I have
Wait.
one. Can you just go back to the 6th officer?
Yes.
You said you've just kind of rehash that again for me.
Well, we're looking for a 6th officer.
Right.
We've advertised for it in a few places, online postings, things like that. We've also reached out to criminal justice programs at colleges that will be trying to place their graduates in police jobs, trying to look a little outside the box and a little outside the area there to try and find somebody. And
So up until now, there's been no luck.
there has not been much luck. No.
Huh.
But that's not just Bellows Falls. I know other agencies are.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
No, right.
but it is not a career that's appealing at this point in time, I guess.
Anything else, Wade?
No.
Jakes, did you have anything?
I'm good.
Questions?
Yeah.
Stefan?
Yep, I'd just like to ask, how are things going? Basically, we've gone just under a year here without a canine. I just wanted to have, is there any feedback on that?
Well,
Helping, hurting, or encumbering, or?
I think certainly there would be some motor vehicle stops and some things that we would have been able to have achieved a lot easier success with if we'd had a canine. At the time that the K-9 was gone, I was opposed to getting rid of the K-9, but it was a decision of the board to do that, and I understand that. I would like to have the K-9 back, but I'm not here to tell you that you were wrong and I was right, that the K-9 should be here. But I believe that a K-9 is a good program, certainly for BF and most any department. A K-9 is a good program.
Jeff, do you have questions? I wanted to ask Chief, you talked about the community action team. Who's on that team?
Sergeant Checky, Corporal Keefe, and Officer Tuttle. Also, other officers, they are the basis of the team. Other officers work with it when we do a search warrant, when we've had a burglary that they have been working on with that, but other officers work with the team as well. But they are the three officers that are the basis of the team. Yes.
I wanted to make sure it's clear because it's the first word is community, but there are no citizens involved at this time in this team. That's what I want to make sure.
Okay. No, it's the officers, but it's to focus attention on drugs, on, like I say, that we've had some burglaries, to do intensive work on those issues and to interact with the community and try and open up and be open and responsive to the community.
Thank you. I wanted to make to congratulate you on the success of the first year with Operation Elves. We've had the Angel program in the past, and I hope this will spur them on to do more, and the community will do more next year as well. So that's great.
The community certainly stepped up. We appreciate it, and yes, absolutely. It was a roaring success, and we would want to do this again next year. Absolutely.
Great. My last question is actually something you said to the manager. Do you recall when the Dominion Tech contract expires?
I think we're in one of the renewal cycles, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it expires in the fall, like end of summer or early fall next year, but I'll double check
Okay.
that date. But I think we're in the last of the renewal, so we'll have to look at what our options are going forward.
Okay.
It's
I'm
the
assuming.
It's
Oh,
the
go ahead.
end of this fiscal year, and this will be the last 6 months of the contract.
Okay.
Okay, so like June 30th, 2021.
Correct.
Now, the telephone contract, that's over at the end of this month, isn't it?
It's over at the end of January.
That's my
January.
tell.
At the end of
Yes,
January.
that is over in
Okay,
January.
so we haven't heard anything about a replacement, but I'm sure you're working on that, so.
Got some options. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. We got to run a system in parallel that's going to replace the Mitel. We have to see how it works, but I think we have a pretty good system in place. So we'll come back to you in January and talk about that.
Okay.
So I just touched on that to make sure they'd be able to coordinate with you and the Axon cameras before.
Yeah, the issues with Dominion is helping us on is that we will drive the vehicle into the parking lot. We need a good signal at that point in time. The recordings on the cameras in the cars will then download to the server, which has to have a buffer to take the video in,
Right.
and then it sends it out to evidence.com, to the cloud,
Okay.
where it will be. But we have to work on the buffer, and we have to work on the signal strength for the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Any other questions, gentlemen? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on, we go on to the wastewater update.
Thank you. First of all, I just wanted to let
Oh,
you guys
boy.
know that Rob is not here. He's, out with some medical. He's going to be out
Yeah.
for a couple weeks. So otherwise he would have been here and helped, do this presentation. So given that he's not here, I'll step in and provide you some information and give you some updates on some of our ongoing projects. I'll pass this around. This is today's batch of our dried Class A biosolid material. This one achieved an 85% moisture reduction. I guess the goal is to make it between 75 and 80%. So this one's actually a little drier than what they want it to be. So we're still playing with the ultimate process, how the belts are moving, how long the material is going through the process, and then the material that comes out. You can open up the bag and smell it. It doesn't stink. It's not like, a bag full of crap. It's actually smells like soil. So anyway,
is it a bad thing for it to be
little show and
drier
tell
than?
for tonight. So that was part of
Yeah.
today's batch.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
it's
going to say, hopefully that was just a portion of the batch.
It is.
Oh,
We're still
yeah.
getting.
I wish we
yes.
could make it that small.
Yeah. No. Good God. If we got it that small,
So is it too dry? Is 85% too dry? Is that a concern?
it's too dry. So right.
Oh.
They want it optimally in order for it to break down and I guess be the most effective when they spread it and use it in fields and other applications. They want a little bit more moisture content.
Okay.
So that actually is almost like
It's crumbly.
it's too
Yeah. Brittle.
It's a little brittle.
You get to open it.
But yeah, you
All
can
right, you
open
do
it.
that.
Believe me, I've opened it. I smelled it. It was not,
Oh, I'm sure it's
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 not
fine. I
an
took
overwhelming-
the last samples that they gave us home.
yeah.
We put it in the garden somewhere.
So we are putting it into the 1-ton bags. So we have started filling those out. We're getting closer to the right processing. I would say probably by the first of the year we'll have it down pat, and all of that material then is being repurposed. We are not hauling upstate. We have not hauled upstate since our November. The last load of wet material left us in November, and we have been only processing dry material since. So we are on schedule. Hopefully, we'll start to get a sense of how this new machine works with some of the finances that we talked about, because I know that the board was very interested and wanted to make sure that our analysis was not going to add additional costs or create some additional concerns. So we'll keep an eye on that as well once we get to our ultimate mix. And we'll come back to you with a more comprehensive report probably in January or early February as to where we are. So that'll put you around 60 to 90 days of solid operation. So I think that'll give us a real first good chance to sort of work through the system, see where we might have problems, see where we're experiencing concerns, and then we'll hopefully get another 90 days under our belt, and then we'll be at the point where we'll have to decide, do we want to continue, as we talked about, the 9-month trial period. So I think we're right on schedule with that. Any specific questions with the drying process before we get into other items?
Did they have any? I was just curious if they had any issues getting the thing installed.
Some
Initially.
concerns, like any new machine. I think there was some issues with some of the electrical, but we worked that out.
Yeah.
So we were able to get that resolved fairly quickly. Otherwise, the belts and how the system has been set up and how it actually operates has been pretty seamless, I have to admit. It has not been a real big disruption to the operation. We've been able to do other things as we've been installing and running this equipment. So RMI has been on site. They've been working us through the system. They've been, helping us with the batches and modifying our process. So they're doing what they were supposed to do by the contract. And at this point, looking at the end product, I'm fairly happy that we're pretty close to where we're going to be, I think, going forward. So I think that's a good news.
Yeah, I was going to I was going to ask you how the company has been working with you guys. It sounds like it's been.
I've been satisfied. They've been performing. They've been doing what we've asked them to do. They've been on site. They've been hands-on. They've been helping us, modify and adjust. And so they've been doing the right things. And I think ultimately I need to make sure that, we have to make sure the testing that we get the certification for the Class A. So at this point, I don't have that. So I can't give you 100% that, yes, I'm 100% satisfied. But if we get to that point and we're meeting our financials, I'd say at that point that they've done exactly what they had set out to do. So I would be pretty happy at that point.
The other question is as you fill these 1,000-pound silos
Sacks?
or
They're just
bags,
sacks. They're like big canvas sacks, really. Yeah.
Do we have any takers before
They
that?
actually do. RMI has some for the initial product that they're going to dispose of, and then we're going to try to figure out how we can try to get it to some local places so
okay.
that they can, take advantage. I think once it's certified as Class A, we'll have people that will be very interested.
Yeah, okay,
we're ready.
good.
So we just have to get that certification. So I want to make sure that I put that caveat out there. We don't have it yet. And so that'll be, something that I'm hoping will come back the next time we talk, that we'll be able to say we've achieved that.
Anyone else on this subject? Okay.
So back to, I think we'd also talked about some of our operational issues. And so I've been doing a little bit of research, and unfortunately without Rob here, I can't get into he didn't have a lot of time to get into some of the work that we have to do going forward. I did explain to him some of the concerns that came up at the meeting, some of the issues that are surrounding what was put into the upgrades from 2015. I've got some issues that we're looking back when we did our 2017 state of Vermont, when they come and they look at your licensing, there were some issues in our RBC units and some other things that sort of reflect some of the maintenance concerns that we were discussing the other night. So we have to get to the bottom of some of those problems to find out, are they design issues? Are they equipment issues? Are they operator issues? Are they a combination of all three, or just simply just volume related issues? So I've got the 2017 information. I don't have all the 2015 information. I still have to get some of the information from your resolution from May of 2015, because I have to go back and pull some of that data out as well prior to the contract. So once I have all that together and I've had a chance to go through it with Rob and then also with the consulting engineers, we'll do a more up-to-date report, giving you some of the breakdowns where we've seen the problems, what the fixes are and have been, and then what the other issues might be as we go forward. Not everything was fixed. I know that there was some concern that maybe we missed some items, and I don't think that everything was retrofitted in that last round of spending, but there was significant improvement and significant investment, and we want to make sure that the dollars you invested are reflective of what you had anticipated the outcomes to be. So right now, it doesn't sound like we're meeting those goals, so we're going to work on that. I got to get you some better information to make sure that we meet those, initial criteria from the contracts. I don't have all that yet, and Rob's going to obviously have to help, and he's out for at least another probably 2 weeks or so. Fingers crossed that everything goes well, and he's back at work sometime, early in 2021. So
Did we replace those screws we were talking about the last meeting?
not all of them, no. And in 2017, there was some discussion about those as well in the relicensing. So I'll bring that all up to you as well.
Yeah, and I don't recall the actual numbers, but my understanding was that the part of this upgrade to the sewer system expanded the physical capacity of the system. So when I hear volume issues, I get very concerned, because, as I said, the impression that was given, and I believe it was specifically given, was that the capacity was going to be increased. I don't know by what percent.
Right. I don't think we're operating over capacity. My concern is if the specifications were designed to be able to process, like you said, a set volume of material, and then some factor going forward, because they always build in, a growth factor, and we're achieving maybe a little higher than that because of COVID and some of the stay at home and some of the numbers that we're seeing. It shouldn't have impacted the equipment that quickly, since we're only talking about 6 years, maybe, roughly, in that neighborhood. So that's the concern that we have to go back and try to address. So it's going to take a little bit more detective work on our end. And then I'll work with some of the professional engineers who put some of the specs together to find out, are there things that were not done that potentially should have been or could have been? So we'll try to find that out as well. Then I can give you a more comprehensive report when we sit down, and I'll have Rob here to answer more specifics, because he's much more hands-on.
And if there were change orders during the course after the bond was voted
there were,
on and all that, we wouldn't necessarily know about those.
And I think there were some things that were done, like any contract, there's always, you have a contract and then you have items that come up in the process of installation and So we need to make sure that you're well aware of all those things. So it's still in progress. I don't want you to think we've overlooked it, but given he's going to be out with his medical, he didn't have time to be able to go through that in enough detail with me to provide you the report that we need and the detail we need. So if there's other items you want me to look at specifically, email me, feel free. I'll more than happy to research it, pull it out, and specifically answer it when we finally get back together and go through it in more detail. So I'd be happy to do that either before we complete the report or after, depending upon how you want to approach it.
Anyone have any other?
No, thank you.
I did have a question. I saw on the warrant from last week that the wastewater treatment plant purchased a snow thrower. $2,200. I was just trying to figure out
One
what
of the
they
units
used to
that we
do
use,
before.
one of the units that we use that was over 10 years old in this storm died.
Oh.
And so they called me and they said, what should I do? And I said, well, you got to do this plant in Saxon's River. So get a unit that can remove snow. So
Right.
it was sort of one of those things we didn't have a lot of option.
Were you signaling you had something or?
I was just gonna go back to the how'd the generator make out?
Still working through the repairs. I think we're going to be able to bring it back online shortly, but at this point, why the screw broke loose and went through the unit is still not clear to me. That was something I was hoping that when we're done with this install, the folks that are doing that work can give me a better, more comprehensive analysis as to why that thing broke off and went through created the damage that it did. So it certainly wasn't, it was just done as, it was on a routine schedule. So it was not like it was running for 10 days or something. And then all of a sudden, something wore out. So we're going to hopefully get some better information on that too.
So that's currently down still?
They have a backup that they can put in place, a portable if they need to.
Right.
But the main unit is still
Yeah.
not functioning. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for all that.
Thanks.
The next item on the agenda is the ratification of the local 98 union agreement.
You're going to make the motion?
Well,
You gotta-
Well, I don't have one made out. We need a motion to agree to move to ratify the local 98 union agreement with an amendment to 22.4 in the contract, and we will be doing the actual signing next week at the joint board meeting with the select board on the 29th. So I stated it. Does someone want to say I'll
Madam
move
President,
that?
I'll make the motion that we ratify the local 98 union agreement with an amendment to 22.4.
Okay, need a second to that.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion on that item?
You want to highlight that amendment?
Excuse me?
You want to reiterate that amendment with that?
22.4 is the section on differential pay. There was an error, a small error made, but it's a significant difference between what it is and what it's supposed to be.
The only other thing I'd ask is if
Yes.
you would just give the term that you're currently proposing, the ratification term, so that we can make sure.
So what it says instead?
No, so the term for this current contract
the
that's in
term.
front of you is from July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2023. I just wanted to
Okay,
make
so
sure
add
was
that to the
clear
motion.
in the
Sure.
motion, please. Thank you.
June 30th, 2023. I'm sorry, I didn't pull the whole contract. I just have a couple of pages here. So thank you. Thank you. So you agree with that? That's for a second. Okay, then all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and we will see that again on next Tuesday. Well, that's a short meeting, makes for a short meeting. Review agenda items for the next meeting, which is not December 22nd, but January 12th, 2021. Do we have any items?
We'll have financials,
We'll
right?
have financials the beginning of the month, yeah,
I think we
Monday
ought to
of the
put
month.
the telephone contract
on there.
on there.
About that.
All right. There'll also be
And-
another wastewater
And the
update,
wastewater update.
of course. Anything else? I can't think of anything right now.
What's the date of that meeting?
12.
January 12th. That's the second Tuesday in the
Yeah.
month.
Our joint board meeting's the 29th, so
Next
that'll
week.
be
Next
your
Tuesday.
next.
Right.
Right.
Right. So
Public
January 12th
meeting.
is
Right.
the next trustees meeting. And we have the We have items on the, moving on to the joint board meeting. We have the self-driving cars. I believe Joe Segal and Michael Bohosky will be joining us via Zoom. Have they contacted you, Scott, at all?
No, but I'll follow up to
They
make
have
sure.
some small presentation
Yeah,
they want to do.
do a,
Yeah.
so we'll make sure that's coordinated ahead of time.
Not the longer one we had some months ago, but a shorter one. As they're getting ready, and Springfield is another interested party too in the next county.
Okay.
All other items will be the tax sale discussion, development director position, credit card resolution for Scott Pickup and David Bemis, and discussing options for retail marijuana. Anything else you guys think?
There's a
needs to be
couple
on?
of items that are still out that the state of Vermont has an updated real plan that has quite a few items that impact Bellows. So I'd put it on there for discussion, and potentially
Okay.
the board might want to look at doing a resolution of support. It deals with our station upgrades. It deals with upgrades to track, upgrades for the ability to move freight and do some other things. So I think it would be helpful for us to maybe have that available for you to look at and talk about, and then maybe have it come back at a future meeting for a resolution.
Okay. I was also thinking perhaps the considering the continued complaints, and every few years the sidewalk snowplow plan is usually updated.
Right.
If there's any movement on that or discussion on protocols, because people are confused about what gets done when, why some sides don't get done, why other sides do, other things like that might be something for discussion. It's a town issue, but it affects all of us here in the village.
Sure.
That perhaps that item could be added as well.
Okay.
And the last time I think that plan was updated was 2018. I'm not sure if they even
Sounds about
changed
right.
it, or if you guys just wind up re-agreeing to the plan as it was at the time.
I think the one I saw was 2018. the
Yeah,
most-
okay.
Yeah.
I believe there was some tweaks.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe this winter is going to be a lot heavier snow, like you said, 30 years since the last
Yeah.
time. See something this deep. So those are our items at this point for the joint board next week. Review the orders, review and approve the orders, bills, and warrants.
So moved.
In a second.
Seconded.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Other business. Start with you, Wade.
I only have one thing, and that was just to, I don't know if we did this at the last meeting, but just wanted to recognize Chief McGinnis for completing his fire safety
Oh, yes.
inspector program and getting certified.
And you'll probably be seeing and hearing from him in January as we talk about the updates from the ordinance committee as well. So
Right.
we will certainly pass that on.
Good. Anything else?
No.
That's it. Jake's.
I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and please stay safe. Please heed or try to heed all the guidance we're getting from our state and federal officials. Anyway, let's hope for a good 2021. The other little thing is, and I think you picked it up earlier, is the term that the police department has given to this committee, this community action
Team.
group
Mhm.
or team, is a little confusing because I think it connotes that it's a community involved
Right.
thing. So maybe they could come up with a better wording. And of course, if the community doesn't step forward and show some interest in having a community, organization, then it's kind of moot. But it is a little confusing to hear that.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what their next steps are.
I thought it was
We'll
in
hear more in January. Right?
January, right? We were supposed to hear more.
Sometime mid-January. I think
Yeah.
they said. Like that. Jeff.
I just wanted to mention that Chuck asked me to mention the latest rental ordinance draft has been posted. It was delayed a few days, so that is now up online at rockdf.org.
Oh, your microphone's not on. Please repeat that.
Oh,
Thank you.
Chuck asked me to let folks know that the second
draft of the rental housing ordinance is now online at rockbf.org. Encourage people to take a look at that, and please share thoughts, concerns, etc. Directly with him, with board members, however you wish. But it would be great to get as much feedback as possible. If it is passed, all rental housing will be inspected on a 4-year cycle. And there is a provision in there for properties that he doesn't want to have redundancy. So properties that are being inspected through a regular established inspection process, there may be some consideration there. So that is in the new draft. So please take a look.
That's before we get to hearing and all that stuff with the public.
I hope
Which
so.
we'll be getting, yeah,
Yes.
we'll be doing that in the spring. Yeah. Or maybe sooner. Stefan.
Yep, I'd just like to mention that, of course, you and I, Debbie, were down here for the Christmas tree lighting
Yep.
and the lighting in the square, and looks really wonderful.
It's
Hearing a lot
Very
of
nice.
positive comments from people. I've also noticed several houses that seem to be outstanding every year that are lit up, sort of with this. I know the governor got this light thing going on this year, but no Palmer's down here. Then we got Rod up on Atkinson Street on this end. Looks really nice, and I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Scott, did you have anything? Or
Make sure we did our motion for executive
oh,
session.
we will.
Okay,
Yes, I
good.
have it here. I even figured out which one it is. So, and I would just like to say two things. Number one, despite how angry we get about things that happen or upset, because upsets happen, that our only employee is the manager. Any displeasures, please pass them along to him. Sorry, but it is what we need to do. Make sure that everyone does their thing. And all of our other employees that are the managers are staying on track and getting their work done. So if you have any complaints, please take them to the manager. Second, I would just like to speak to the public briefly. As the governor is talking about getting ready and doubling down for the other two holidays we have coming up, and we are trying to keep our numbers low. We're still doing a good job. I'd like it to be 0, but it's not quite. I just wanted to encourage people to reduce your visits to places like the town hall and to other departments in the town and village. And if you need make calls. Many of those you can be met down in the lobby if you need to pay your bills. I know the water bills are due the 25th, well, the 24th, or the following Monday. But whatever you can do to reduce your exposure for everyone is safer that way. And I know we're getting tired of it, but we really need to keep it up. And Vermont is really right up there as far as who should take a lesson from. They should take a lesson from us, every other state, since we've done such a great job. But just try to reduce that. Everyone, please stay safe for the holidays and make it through. Call all your relatives, raise your phone bill, but stay safe. Thank you. And let me see. Now we move on to executive session. We need to have one briefly. No action will be taken. That would be number 11. Stefan usually likes to read these things. We have to do 2 motions.
Sure. Make the motion that we enter into an executive session to discuss pending or probable civil litigation where prosecutions to which public body is or may be a party, and where premature general knowledge may clearly place the municipality at a substantial disadvantage.
Okay, need a second?
I'll second.
And all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, now you need to read the second message, please.
Okay, and what's your specific reason
Second
there?
motion is number 11 there.
Which I just read.
Right. So what is it? I don't know what it says to do exactly.
Move to enter into an executive session to discuss pending or probable
Okay.
civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party in accordance with Section Title I, 313A, one of the Vermont statutes,
And invite the,
and invite
And it will invite the manager.
the municipal manager.
Yes. And do we don't need Shannon at this point, do we? No. Okay. Invite the municipal manager. Need a second?
second?
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful holiday. And we are now in executive session. Have a good night.